two things that I want to talk to you about today. And so the first is conscientiousness, and a huge part of why I think the starting point for the 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 cultural foundation. Every company is the culture of its people, right? So the cultural foundation that's necessary for my vision of the future, what I want to see our lives look like in the future. Why I think that starts with the authentic relating process, and probably with specifically Seek Healing, um, regardless of whatever they're going through right now or what they've been through in the past. And the second one is what it feels like to get kicked down a bus, and I know this because I've seen it happen. Okay, so the first thing, my winter started in Colorado Springs, and I would sleep just a little up the mountain from the city, looking down on the city. And as it got colder, I didn't have the sleeping stuff to feel warm through the night, so I'd wake over and over and over again throughout the night, and I was shivering, I was breaking, and so I'd be awake, partially whenever that first orange line met the horizon, and I watched the sunrise day over day, day after day after day over the city. And it would always be that same orange line, and then it would just soak. There would just be this soaking of orange. And then one orange ball, that sacred blinding light, would just rise into the heavens before me over the city. And I watched this day after day after day, and it's imprinted in my memory. And I would think, can I even savor, can I even comprehend this moment that's passing right now? And is this all I can do? Because I'd been in this time of surrender. I went to visit my dad, and he was struggling with like alcoholism at the time, and looking through my father's mind was extremely unhealthy for me. And I felt his stress, the anxiety, the trauma of his life, and he's much older than me, so that was not good. That was horrible, and I took a long time to recover from that. And so I had spent some months then, not entirely, I had some times where I was like down on the ground. I was like trying to pick myself up, but so I had some weeks that I was doing okay, and then I'd fall back, but in kind of a really hard surrender to the evil one, to not achieving what I want with my time. And so I was thinking, is this all that I can do? I couldn't find in myself at that time the comprehension, the understanding of how to be the person that I really wanted to be. And so I just watched this sunrise every morning, and I'd really try to savor it. To see the value of what it really is. And it was at that time that I decided to try, because I'd gone through this surrender, and then I said, I have to try. And again, because I've done good in the past, and I've done well. And try to make the most most of this time that I have. And so I months later, I connected that yearning that I really comprehended there. Like, I want this. I want to feel, to really enjoy watching the sunrise, to really feel and value it, and absorb as much of that moment as I possibly can. And I connected that to God months later, and I surrendered. And I said, well, I can't be just down in a city, getting down into a funk. This doesn't work for me. I clearly do so much better when I'm constantly traveling. And so I began traveling again, and it took another month and a half or so before I ended up in Toccoa, Georgia, where I really buckled down and started going to church almost every day of the week. And just, if I wasn't going to an event, reading a book, I've told you that, at the church, but being present and going to the gym was really helpful to me as well, and still is. So this is like where I'm at now, and so if we're going to make the most, I'm telling you that was key. And if we're going to make the most of this time that we have in our lives, because we only have so many resources for thoughts. We only get the opportunity to think so many things. And whenever you're dousing, whenever you're using neurological suppressants like alcohol, like hard drugs, then you're taking away from what you get to comprehend of this moment, when really what you want, because I understand what you're trying to do, and what you want is you want a breathing ritual. You want to be building something with people that see that it's not necessarily that they see like you. You might think that's what it is right now, but what you want is a deeper comprehension. You want to value it. You want love in your life, and you want, so much can happen for you in a minute's time, and you want to comprehend it. That's what you want, and you want it to be working towards something. And so I've seen, I started doing workaway.info when I was 18 years old. And I started going and following people's like American Dream projects. When I was about 21, I started writing, like putting their ideas together and turning them, 21, 22, maybe 22. I started putting them into like a business model description, because my Bud Ward, my dad's friend who he grew up with, he said, put together a business model, a business plan, he called it, and send it to me, and I'll fly you down to Fort Lauderdale for the weekend. We'll talk about setting goals. And I never finished that business model, so I never flew down to Fort Lauderdale, but it got me started thinking in that direction, and it got me started learning all the things. I asked Google, what's in a business plan? And it got me learning all the things that I would need to know, and it got my idea reshaping as I learned all the things that I would need to know to actually have that business. And so I started taking people's ideas and interviewing them, which I learned to do as an adolescent through my mom's work. She taught me how to interview people and gave me practice. Yeah, so I started helping them communicate their ideas as I would work on mending their fences, or whatever they would have me do. So I've seen a lot of these projects over the years. I'm 27 now. I've seen a lot of these projects fail, and with people my own age or near my age, I've especially seen a lot of projects fail because people want to make their own mistakes. I'm not going to call anybody's name out, but people think people don't want to they don't see, the whole dependence on the resources and influences that we have available to us. They don't think that, my company is the culture of my people, and so this is my nation, this is my society, this is my little society, and the greatness of that society is to be valued by how it treats its weakest members. They don't think about the dependence of that weakest member. And so I say, build like I'm the weakest member. And so you can't have candy in the kitchen because it's I understand that some people think that that's what they need, but they're wrong, because they actually have a dependence, and their health is the same as my health in very much in a way. It's the same as my health. And so you can't do that. Whenever somebody gets home from work, they can't be drinking beer every night and sitting in front of the television, because that's the only time that we have to actually organize, set agendas, and move things forwards and figure out what we're doing. If that's what's happening, they can't be like, my wife needs this a few times a week, and then from the back bedroom it goes like, ugh. That can't happen, because that's the only time we have to organize, and that it completely makes it impossible. That's a sinking ship. So I've seen, basically it comes down to create this foundation. We all have to retrieve our focuses back to what we actually want them to be focused on, and deeply want them to be focused on. And I'm seeing this after years. I need you to follow me. I need you to listen to me, and I need you to let me determine the foundation of us. Okay, so we need to retrieve our focuses back to what we want them to be focused on. And that's going to be an active recovery kind of thing. And you're going to be so grateful for it. Okay, the second thing was what it feels like to get a bus kicked down. Well, actually, maybe I'll make a second video.